Welcome. I want to welcome you to our Building Resiliency session for April 19th. I'm your host, one of your hosts, Todd Miner, and along with my wife, Mia Miner, we want to welcome you to tonight's session. We're going to go over some updates, and then we will bring in our guest. Okay. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please put your questions in the comment area. And then we'll be able to see those. Thank you so much. Hold on, I see. Hi, welcome.
Welcome.
Hi, we're going to do a couple of updates, and then we'll turn it over to
I'm
you, QueenAfi.
Queen Effie. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Okay, so a little bit about us. Why are we here? We realize the need to foster resiliency in our community, emphasizing family that supports our young people and parents who are the true strength of our community. We're going to start with prayer. Mia, do you want to lead us in prayer, please?
Okay. Lord, we come to you today thanking you and praising you for another day, waking us up this morning and getting us on our way. We just thank you for this session. Thank you for this um, advocacy that we have. I ask that you, and thank you for our guest, Miss QueenAfi, and her advocacy and helping those who are in domestic situations. I ask that you be and bless those who are on with us and listening to us today. We just want to ask that you continue to be with us during this time and being with us in our advocacy and building up
Yes.
our community and and uh, and 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 with love and compassion.
Amen.
We just ask that you continue to be with us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for that. So, for us, it's a campaign born from the deepest loss, driven by the love and memory of a young boy who always worked hard to protect others. Um, we created the Matthew Minor Awareness Foundation in 2019 after the death of our 12-year-old son, Matthew, as a result of the blackout challenge on YouTube and TikTok. Just wanted to share our website, ways that you can give or donate if you feel so moved. And now we wanted to give an update on the Maryland Kids Code. April 19th, the Maryland Kids Code bill was unanimously passed by the Maryland legislature and sent to the governor's desk for signing. We plan to be in attendance for the bill signing, and there's some dates that the governor's office is working on. So they hopefully we'll hear about that hopefully soon, and we'll let you all let everybody know when those actual dates are for the signing ceremony. For the Kids Online Safety Act at the federal level, that now has a House companion version, and we're working and advocating to get a combined House Senate version that can be passed by the both sides of Congress. Also, we're currently reviewing scholarship applications that have been submitted, and please stay tuned to our website and Facebook page. Winners will be announced soon. Uh, did you go ahead, Mia? I'm sorry. I was
No,
just.
no, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
Awardees. I was just saying awardees, not winners awardees.
Oh, okay. Yeah, awardees. That's true. So for us, also, we had filming the past couple weeks for ABC News special that will be coming out in the next month or so. We also had interviews with some U.S. and international news companies. TV was Der Spiegel. I'm sorry, German news magazine Der Spiegel. We had KBS, and then we also had ZDF, which is a German national television company that came out to interview us. So a lot of interviews coming up soon. Over the last week or so, we met with the Prince George's County Strategic Partnerships office team within the Prince George's County Executive's Office. They gave us a lot of great information. The main thing is for us to continue to partner with county-based organizations and other community-based organizations. So with that, Mia, did you have any other updates that maybe I missed before we
I
introduce
think
our?
you overlooked, not at this time.
Okay.
You mentioned the scholarships we are in
Yeah,
review.
we got to
And
finish
we are
those
awarding
reviews
them by the end of beginning of probably
shortly.
May, shortly.
Yeah, shortly. Yeah. So let's see. Let's move on. I just have a quick intro for our tonight's speaker, and we're just so thankful she, we're just honored that she came out here to speak. She's just a powerful speaker. I actually was able to connect to some of her other speaking engagements online, and I was definitely impressed. Our speaker tonight is QueenAfi, a mental health consultant and a native of Washington, D.C., where she attended D.C. public schools. Just so you guys know, this is an interactive presentation. So please put your questions and comments in the chat and we will respond. So with that, QueenAfi, we'll turn it over to you.
Peace and love, everybody. Thank you for inviting me here tonight. It is a pleasure to sharing y'all space, husband and wife, advocates out here fighting a cause for your son. My condolences to your family and
Thank
to
you.
you.
And you as well.
But you guys are doing an amazing job.
Thank
Grief
you.
causes us a lot of times to split up and
Yes.
suppressing, oppressing, and for you two to stay together, this is just amazing because it doesn't normally happen like this. I feel like two heads are better than one in something like this. So yes, I've been spreading that word out here, talking
Yes,
about
ma'am.
talking about that conversation. Thank you to my other pops, Reverend Nathaniel Thomas.
Yes.
Your daughter from another mother is in the building.
Oh, yeah.
And I love you so much for for him believing in me and believing in what that hard conversation that I have around the community.
Yeah.
And my organization is Domestic Violence Wears Many Tags. So
Okay.
I say that it starts off verbal first.
Okay.
And the reason being is because it go back to that dinner table and what we talk about at that dinner table, and what our children are listening to, and how are we teaching them to communicate with one another? How are we teaching them to accept things that we don't want to accept? How are we teaching them to be resilient when the struggle comes? How are we teaching them to do that? And a lot of times, we call it tough love. That's what we call
Right.
it. We
Yeah.
say tough love. But tough love is not linked to dumb, stupid, you'll never be anything. It's not
Right.
linked. It's linked to love. Tough is a separate word from love. They're two
Right.
separate words. Tough is somewhere else in the dictionary, and love is somewhere else in the dictionary. And if you read your words, then you'll understand that love is linked to motivation, linked
Right.
to resilience, linked to gratitude, linked to being grateful, linked to joy. It's not linked to you will never be nothing. Oh, but I want you to be something. I told you that because I want you to be something. That's why I said it like that.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
understanding that the child is processing it as verbal abuse. This
Right.
doesn't feel good to me. So how is this love? It
Mhm.
doesn't feel good. But my mom or my dad, my parents, they telling me at the dinner table that they love me. But every time I turn around, I feel like they putting me down. So how's that love? Even the children are smart enough to know that tough love don't go together.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't go together.
Yeah.
And we've been getting away with that for years and years and years. And so we want children to talk about love.
Yeah.
Right.
And we want children to talk about tough. but we
Yeah.
want them to know the definitions of
That's it.
what they are and where they place that in your life. Because the two of those don't go together. They will never go together.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be tough out there in that world. We got to prepare our children for those manipulative people that we're going to be talking to, that our baby's going to be talking to when they get out.
Right.
Verbal abuse is no joke because you can coerce a child to do something
Yes.
that they never wanted to do, that they never thought that they would do. Their mind can start like going into a whole trance behind verbal abuse. And you have young manipulators. You have young manipulators. We talking 3 and 4. Our little babies be manipulating situations.
Oh, yeah.
Mommy say she gonna do the ice cream. Well, I'm gonna go to daddy and ask him for the ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mommy says she not gonna do it, so I know I can ask daddy. Daddy, can you give me the ice cream? And daddy gonna get that ice cream
Oh, yeah.
and never even consult and say, well, what your mama say? Did your mom tell you no? Then it's a no.
Right.
See, the children know in that moment
Mm-hmm.
they can get away with.
Yeah.
And who they can manipulate the situation. Are they innocent? Yes, they are innocent. They're young, they're innocent. We're supposed to be teaching them how not to do these things. But mom and daddy have to stand together and say, if mama said no ice cream, then it's no ice cream. If daddy said no ice cream, then it's no ice cream. But that child know which one of y'all, include me too, which one of us they can get up to get that ice cream. Okay. None of us are boys from this. All right. But as they get older, you know, it becomes a thing. They get really good at it as they get older. So now they know how to coerce other little children, classmates, and their brothers and sisters. They know how to coerce them and make them do things that they never thought that they would do. Right. And that's when it becomes a problem. That's when it's like, okay, hold on now. So what are our babies learning at their dinner table?
Yeah.
What did they learn? What are they picking up in terms of communication, in terms of seeing it, speaking it, and listening to it? What do we teach them? So verbal abuse is a very serious tag, a very serious tag. The second one going to follow is going to be emotional abuse, because guess what? Those words hurt.
Yeah.
So now emotionally scarring the child or that young person or that woman, that man, and they confused. They are literally confused. And so they find themselves with those words are taking over their life. And, somebody making them feel less than or putting unrealistic expectations on them makes them feel like, oh my God, emotionally strained and stressed and depressed and don't know who to talk to. A lot of times they don't know who to talk to because maybe they don't feel safe, or maybe that person is saying, if you tell somebody I'll do X, Y, and Z, so you better not say anything. That in itself is emotional abuse all day and all night.
Right.
So we got to be careful when our children, what they're listening to, what we're speaking at that dinner table, because we want them to know that Bonnie and Clyde relationships don't exist.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ride or die relationships are not real.
Yeah.
See, we want them to know that, because that is how our young people get sucked in like that. Because they say, oh, you my ride or die. That's their thing right there. They really believe they be somebody's ride or die.
Yeah.
It's no such thing. It's no such thing. And I asked them, I say, so how many of y'all in a ride or die relationship? And they raise their hands. I get a few of them that raise their hands and really think that that's what they're in. So what are we teaching them? Verbally, what are we teaching them? Emotionally, what are we teaching them? What are they seeing? You see what I mean? And then what are our children doing with those feelings emotionally, processing them? Are they in the dark with these feelings? Like, are they cutting?
Yeah.
Are they drinking? Are they stealing alcohol? Are they smoking? What are they sexing and texting and sexing and all of these things that our young people get into because they don't know how to process those feelings, right? Because we don't make it readily. Financial abuse. I'm gonna keep you in that relationship, honey. You're not going nowhere because I buy you everything. You need me for the water. You need me for the milk. You need me for the cheese. You need me for the bread. You need me for my car. You need me for the phone. Hunty, let me tell you something. Financial abuse ain't nothing to play with. Because the monster gonna come out. I'm trying to tell you. And when you want to say no, I'm not doing this with our children too. We done spoiled these children rotten. And when you want to say no to the child, oh, they'll punch holes in your walls.
Yeah.
They will start cussing you out.
Yeah.
They will start telling you who you are from the top to the bottom. Okay. And financial abuse is that thing where in these type of relationships and friendships and things that somebody's getting used. I mean, viciously used to the point where schools have now got to have Pampers and tampons and soap and t-shirts and extra socks and things at the school. At school. Because somebody ain't doing right by that money at home. And the children are saying, we don't have no food at the house. Thank God for the Black Panthers party who started us to get lunch in the school system, because this is the way our babies are eating. And it's still today, this is the way our babies are eating. We are more fortunate now in terms of us working jobs and being able to support ourselves. But at the same time, what's going on with the money?
Right. Yeah.
What's the suspicious activity going on with the money? And why is it that every time we got to move, we got families out here who getting evicted because financially they depleted. They depleted in these relationships at that dinner table. And so the victim has always got to come out of her pocket or his pocket and find somewhere else to go. It just, financial abuse is a very serious tag. And when we want to say no, and if there's an addiction involved, the monster will chew you up and spit you out if you're not going to do what they want you to do after they broke the phone. After they broke the phone, then you know you're supposed to go get another phone, because you know I don't have a job. You know I'm not doing well. You accepted me like it. Those are the things that my young people tell me in these relationships that they in. They are learning this stuff somewhere. And of course, you know, sexual abuse is the fourth tag. Let me tell you something. Our young men don't have a space to talk about sexual abuse. Oh, no. Our sons don't admit to being sexually abused unless it's associated with them having sex with the babysitter. They can say they had sex with a babysitter and all the men in the family will dap them up and their mother say, I'm proud of you, son. Not realizing the psyche of the child has been traumatized. And you say, oh, he a womanized, I don't know, or she just a promiscuous somebody. I don't know what's going on. Because you never asked the questions. You never asked the questions. Because the children are not born to the world like that. Something happened to the child. Something happened. And even if you feel like it didn't happen, you're still supposed to follow that investigation through. You're still supposed to believe the child until you get the results back and then say that it's a lie. And then you can deal with the child on that. But we supposed to follow that investigation all the way through, because what if it is true? What if it is true that your son is telling the truth that he was molested by his uncle or by his?
You got to follow through with the investigation.
You got to follow through with the investigations. You cannot afford to play like a child. Okay. And we seeing the repercussions in that in adults who are so angry that their families did not believe them as children that this was happening to them, right? And so they support.
QueenAfi.
Let me finish this last tag.
Okay.
Let me finish this last tag, then I'm gonna open it up for everybody to talk. Okay. Give me 1 second. Let me knock this out for y'all. Physical abuse. Physical abuse is that last tag. Because guess what? I don't want to hit you if I don't have to. I don't want to hurt you if I have to. I don't want to fight if I don't have to. Because why? If I can verbally and emotionally tell you what to do, then I don't need to put my hands on you. I don't want to do that. So a lot of times with that piece, it comes when that person want to exit. When they trying to leave and get away from the situation, then it's all of this hitting and spitting and fighting and cussing and fussing and murder can happen.
Oh, wow.
Right. So we
Wow.
want to be careful. America will tell you, oh, physical abuse, physical abuse, physical. Well, I'm telling you that it starts off verbal and emotional. So you got to be listening to somebody. You need to understand what somebody is saying to you. You cannot let somebody escalate that verbal abuse. The first
Right.
red flag you see, you need to get yourself together and say, look, I cannot do that. But that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Pops. Go ahead and dive on in there. What you got for me?
QueenAfi, I'm so happy that you're on with us because I know you call it just like it is, as you relate to our children being abused and being in abusive situations. I guess you already know that the purpose of this foundation being established is because Todd and Mia's son was found in his room
Mm-hmm.
by his brother, hung,
Mm-hmm.
based upon a game that was
Mm,
on the computer.
mm,
And I'm hearing you talk about the other aspects of abuse, which is
Mm-hmm.
very real in so many
Mm-hmm.
different ways. I would like to ask, like, when your daughter, because I know you're a PK too, you're a PK,
Mm-hmm. That's right.
is
That's
that
right.
when when your daughter was killed, tell me what emotions
mm.
and what did you feel, and how did you feel, and how did you deal with it, and because I'm sure that was a lot of pain.
It was a lot of pain. It was a lot of pain, but um as I was going around having the conversation that I'm having with y'all tonight, my daughter
Yes.
was shot in the head, right? So
Sorry.
on the day of my
Oh,
daughter's
my
murder,
goodness.
I had an event to do on the day of my daughter's murder. Okay.
Wow. Wow.
So my thing was, am I to cancel the event or should I go to the event?
Wow.
Well, I said to to the Lord that, Lord, if you get my baby back here, because my daughter had just had a baby, 2 months old. So if you get the baby back to me, I'll go to the event. And lo and behold, the baby come through the door. I'm at the event. Nobody knows.
Mm,
Handful of people knew that my daughter was murdered. And I do the whole event. I get through the whole thing. And at the end, I told them, I said, my daughter was
I'm
just
sorry to hear
murdered.
that.
6 hours ago, my daughter was just murdered.
Mm,
And you of course, you can hear a pin drop, okay, when that happened. But then my mom said, you know what, after all of that, it's just gonna be you. It's just gonna
wow.
be you. And you're gonna have to process and feel those feelings. Let me tell you something. I was on fire.
Mm,
I was on fire. Because let me say something to you. You do not, children are innocent. You do not,
yeah.
and my daughter at 19 was innocent.
Yeah.
I mean, now her mother then tore the city up from the floor. I could see me being in the cab,
Oh, wow.
but not my
Mm,
child.
Yeah.
Not my
wow.
child.
Yeah.
So it didn't make no sense to me in that light. I felt like it should have been me and not her.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
Yeah.
felt like that
Yeah.
the subject that my daughter encouraged me to have and was out here at the school systems with me having this conversation 7 years before it knocked on my door, the
Mm,
conversation I'm having betrayed me.
mm,
Now, why would I
wow.
come back and have that conversation? Why
Yeah.
why would I keep talking about this conversation when it betrayed me to the levels of taking my child when I feel like when I know it should have been me.
Mm.
Yeah.
You see what I
Wow.
mean? So to
Right.
process that is heavy. But let me say
Mm.
something to you about grief. Grief is to be respected.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
I
true.
don't care who you are.
Mm.
Grief is to be respected because it will tear you up. It'll be worse than it's just like you trying to, it's like living in a space or feeling things, wondering things, bargaining with God about, if I could have been there to get my daughter keys from the
Yeah.
car, then she wouldn't have never been over there. If I could have
Mm.
told her some more things, she wouldn't have never went.
Right.
constantly in those moments like that
Oh
where
yeah,
it's
yeah,
making you feel so bad about the situation when really, we need to try to jump right into resilience,
Right.
yeah.
which is
Uh,
more of a positive grief
Yeah.
for parents that have lost a child or have lost a loved one, somebody that they love. So like I just told my mom who recently lost her son, you got to process that. Nobody can tell you that God did it for a reason, because then I'm gonna start asking you, what's the reason?
mm,
Because that's not something you're going to come up and tell me. You
right.
cannot tell me that my
You know,
daughter in a
people,
better place, because I'm gonna start saying, how you know, and what place
Yeah.
she in. See,
Yeah.
certain things are just left better unsaid, right? And my
Yeah.
mom, good thing she was there with me to help me process those things, because I was angry about that. I don't want to listen to nobody at this point, because y'all trying to say some stuff that I feel like y'all don't know where my child at. Y'all
mm,
Right.
don't know what's going on with my child. So
wow.
it's those little touchy things that can revert us back to
Yeah,
that that sour space that grief can do to us. But I'm still going to say, you have to respect the grief that you are dealing with. You still
Yeah.
have to deal with those feelings. You still have to cry. You still have to process, your anger.
Yeah.
You still have to say, look, I'm frustrated. Back up off of me. Like, you still have to cook that food and do the things that they love. Go over to the grave site and spend all night. Who cares?
Right.
Like, you still have to step into those spaces where you could still be taking those moments.
mm,
Right. Right.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, we just had a comment said grief never leaves you. It's a process that you create space for it in order for it to go
To
on
go
with
on
your life.
life. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
Queen Fee, one thing that you brought up that I kind of remember myself is that after everything, after Matthew's passing, I it was that same thing. I mean, I knew scripture. I knew God, but I didn't. That didn't mean I understood
Hmm.
why what happened to me happened at that time. And I think it was, at that time it's so raw.
Yep.
When those things first happen, it's so raw. So you're not trying to hear none of that. And then also for us, we also weren't I think we weren't trying to, whenever we saw the families together having a good time and all that, we just excuse ourselves out of the whatever
Yep.
the event. It could be events with our family or whatever. We just say, I was like, Mia, I need to go. And she's like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, I need to go too. And then we go home and we cry here in our house and stuff. But
Yep.
you gotta go through that process.
You do. You do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do have to go through that process, or grief will chew you up and spit you out alive. You got people that are standing up, but they a dead man or a dead woman walking, because they got
Mm,
cumulative grief that they've never dealt with. Think
never
about
dealt with.
those who've never dealt with, and seen, like, you've experienced, multiple deaths in your family. You've never dealt with the grief. You see what I mean? But for
Mm,
some reason, you still here.
yeah.
You still here. For some reason, you
Yeah.
still. But what is that? That person, are they gonna find that while they here? Or do they have to cross over and find out?
Mm.
Wow.
Because the cumulative grief is no joke. That's that layer of trauma. So I took that and ran with it too. I'm like, okay, so I need to make sure that I'm always processing my daughter's trauma for that next bout of trauma that I'm going to be experiencing, or that's going to come my way. And that hits me
Right.
inside as well, where I'm able to make peace with the situation with my daughter and get ready to war for that next bout of trauma that I may experience moving forward. So, and then I still have a whole baby. I have a whole baby that I have to help her process.
Right.
Her mama was
Yeah.
murdered. Her
Wow.
mom was so I'm living with the trauma every day.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm
But
living with it every day.
well, Queen and Fee, one thing what kind of support system in your life did you have? I mean, was it, family, church? I mean, how'd you make it through if you would care to share about that?
We started our own grief circle, our own grief support group.
Mm,
Yeah, because
that's powerful.
uh churches don't have one-stop shops for grief,
Hmm.
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, and
That's
I
true.
wish they did. I wish they did, you
Yeah.
know, to help us process, because that's one of the number one spaces that, you know, black people we want to go to. You know, we
Mm,
turn right to that space. And so to not have that was weird for me. So I said, okay, I need to, you know, try to do something here. Where, because I know I'm not the only parent hurting. Like, so yeah, we decided to do our own um support group for grief. And so we had different parents in there that, you know, have lost their children to robberies, to, you know,
Oh,
gun violence, to suicide,
yeah.
um, to domestic violence, you know. So
Mhm.
we had that circle where, and we could all just flow.
mm,
You know, we just flowed, and nobody was saying, okay, so what's going on with you? And nobody wasn't doing it because it was
mm.
so touchy, like, and we
Yeah.
just
Right.
wanted you to feel comfortable. We just wanted you to know that we was here, you know. And we would have them at one of my good constituents' house. She would have it at her house.
Oh,
Mm,
So she would have the cheese and the crackers and things like that out where we could just come in and literally enjoy ourselves processing and hearing whoever wanted to speak,
mm,
whoever wanted to chime in and just say, look, I'm hurting. Like, I don't know how you're doing it. That's why I'm here. So just having that open door policy where, you know, it don't have to be all gun survivors in there. That grief
mm,
don't have to look like, okay, all the gun survivors and, you know, the parents, victims of gun violence got to get together. I don't think
Right.
the grief support group should look like that.
okay.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
It-
Wow.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think anybody should be able to come to a grief circle and
Right.
share whatever it is that they may be going through in terms of grief. I don't think everybody should be, you know, focused on one topic when it comes to grief, because what about the other people?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
grief don't care what you look like, it don't care what your children passed from, or none of
Right.
that. It
Yeah.
cares
Mm.
how we process those feelings. It cares how
Mhm.
we
That,
chime into
that's
our
so
hurt.
true.
Right. Yeah.
It cares how we match those ugly words to feelings.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
something you may say
Right.
may penetrate me. And
Mm,
you didn't lose your daughter to domestic, or you didn't lose your son to domestic violence. You see what I mean? But what you
Right.
saying is still powerful to me and
Mhm.
helping me. So I don't
Yeah.
right.
think grief should always look like, you know, a particular tragedy.
No,
Okay.
that's and
Right.
that's true. I think when somebody's gone through something similar, you know, it doesn't matter how that individual's past, especially if it's children or they were younger and stuff. You know, it could be, but you know, that's after once you kind of know that it once you lose your child, it puts your heart in like a different place. At least you know it
Yes.
did for me, and I think everyone I've met that's lost a child early like that, you know, put your heart in a different place. You have more compassion, those kind of things. And but it is something when you know that individual went through something similar to what
Right.
you went through.
Right.
The
Yeah.
a
Right.
similar grief. You know, the child could have passed in a car accident because
Yep.
we've had family members who had children that they lost in a car accident and they were young. That's still a loss. It doesn't matter, you know,
Right.
it doesn't matter how they pass. And really, once you know that grief, you can like once you've experienced that grief, you can use that to you know empathize and sympathize with anybody else's grief. I mean, because I
Right.
Yep.
think that's so extreme because your child's cut down in its you know their prime, and but then you can take that and use that to connect when
Yes.
individuals they say, oh well, I lost this person to maybe an illness or something. You say I lost my child, you know, and they were you know 19 or 12 years old. Then they're
Yes.
like, oh wow, and it automatically you know makes that connection with you and that individual that you're
Yes,
talking
sir.
to.
Yes, sir. I
So
agree.
Mhm.
you know these tragedies that we've gone through, and all of us have experienced some form or another, some grief, lost somebody, but we can use those things. That's why I think, it takes a while, to kind of get to that point where you can share and talk, and just like for us with our foundation, Queen Afi, right after Matthew passed, we were urged to create the foundation, and we were like, "What? We don't want to. We trying to grieve right now. Create the foundation the same month that our son passed and everything. So I mean, we established it, did the LLC, and I think probably a little bit later on, within maybe going into the next month, we did the website, and then after a while, we just kind of took our time and just let God just order our steps the rest of the way. But as you're walking, no one knows. Like I mean, you just look like a normal person, and so
Mhm.
you have to. God gives you that grace where you can realize that person may not. They were fortunate and didn't experience what you went through, but we still have to use that, and hopefully they can see the light, light of God in all that we do,
Mhm. Mhm.
and when people have those bad days, it's like you think that's a bad day. you know, you you know,
Mhm.
you the
Mhm.
bad day we going through may not may not
Yes,
even
sir.
touch on, you don't even want none, you don't want to walk in my shoes. So
Yes, sir.
but that's where the grace comes in, and you gotta, everybody has their level that they have to, different trials and tribulations that they are supposed to go through based on what God wants in their life.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They asked y'all to start a foundation. They
Yeah.
told me, why you still talking about
Mm.
domestic violence?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Why you
Yeah.
still talking about that subject? Because if that would have been my child, I wouldn't have been able to keep going.
Yeah. I mean, it was right at the funeral and the tribute is when we heard it. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
that's why I was saying it was immediately fresh, because I was, I'm still trying to process, but like I mean, late, some of that time when everything happened, it's, I don't remember all the parts and pieces of the tribute and the funeral, because I guess that's just the way it is when you're
Yeah.
grieving. But the major things, as far as the kids saying that they were being bombarded with information, and being asked to do something in the community, that kind of thing, and then hearing that our son stood up to bullies and was a big brother to the other kids, then we were like, whoa, wait a minute. These are
Yeah.
messages that we're getting, that lets us know that we need to do more.
That's
You
right.
know, and it's and I don't, maybe you can for you, I know you were already in kind of the right there, speaking and everything, but like after that, did you just keep going, or did you space things out to allow yourself to grieve? How was it, or did you just keep
I, I
going?
had I had to go. I did with my daughter's murder. It played out like graduation, high school graduation. I
Mm,
was already revved up. High
mm,
school graduation.
yeah, wow.
Then she goes into baby shower. Okay, so now we got a baby. So I'm revved up some more. Now we got a baby coming. Buy food. Okay.
Mm,
And then we planning the funeral. Then I gotta manage 5,000 people feelings because my daughter knew a whole world
mm,
on her own. So I gotta manage all of these people feelings. I'm trying to figure out what can I do to manage these people feelings, because if not, they gonna be trying to kill this young man and his whole family. And now I don't want that, because it's
Mhm.
wow.
still a baby involved. There's
Yeah.
still a baby involved. So what you not gonna do is traumatize my baby now. That's what we're not gonna do. So I'm
Mm,
saying, what can I do? What can I do? So one of her friends put out there, smile for Smiley, because my daughter always smiled and people would call her Smiley. And
Mhm.
so I started the whole hashtag smile for Smiley.
Smile.
And I made it a whole movement. And we shut down the whole DC with this Smile for Smiley Love movement. And all of us was going to get together and we was going to fire this thing up. And we did that and had a party. It ended up being a party,
oh,
a
wow.
whole celebration, a whole celebration. Okay. The candlelight visual was a whole celebration. The newsman said, I've never seen a candlelight this big. Now, this was a world that my daughter had. Okay. That my daughter had. Okay. So I'm in just trying to go with her friends and follow so nobody won't kill nobody else. Because we don't want nobody else to die. And our dad gonna sure don't want Blake father to die.
Mm.
Okay. That's not the answer for this
Yeah.
situation here, right? And then I had to go to the funeral. And then I was doing the eulogy for the funeral.
Mm.
Who
Mm.
does that? What y'all talking
Yeah.
Wow.
about here tonight?
Yeah.
Who does that? Like, who does that? There was no way that I could have did that by myself.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was God's grace right there.
God's grace.
That
Yeah.
the whole thing just kept going, and it's still
Mhm.
going. 7 years later, we still in the Smile for Smiley Love movement. It's
Yeah.
still going.
Mm.
You
Mm.
see what I
Mm.
mean?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
not sit up and do no eulogy on my daughter. Who does a
Yeah.
eulogy on their daughter and she was shot in the head?
Mm.
Mm.
Who does that?
Yeah.
I
Wow.
could not have done that without the spirit of the Lord God
Yeah.
lead me
Mm-hmm.
to do it. And I don't know why he set me up like that and threw me in the fire. But I guess he was trying to see if I was going to make my way out to the other side.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was determined that nothing else was going to happen to my daughter, baby. I was determined that
Yeah.
nobody else was. So that took a lot of my mindset, setting it up for my baby girl because she can't have another traumatic thing happen to her in no 2 months old.
Yeah.
Mm.
This we not going down like this. She's going to be 8 years old in May now, and
Okay.
yeah, I just couldn't see myself, letting somebody kill her father and talk all these things about killing her father. So I changed it all up into a love movement, and that's what God, led me to do, and I rolled with it. It
Mm.
was hard. It was hard because
Yeah.
again, you do have those moments where I was saying to myself, that should be me in
Right.
that casket.
Yeah.
Like that should not be my child in that casket. Like literally, it should not. And so but the baby kept me in the fight. She
Oh yeah.
literally kept me in that fight. And she keeps me in the fight today.
Mm.
So it
Wow.
started with her mom. Her mom, putting me out there. And then now her daughter is putting me out there. She want me to go do the radio shows, and the baby want me to go talk
Mhm.
about.
Yeah.
She want me to go talk about her mom. And look, you ask my mom, she'll come on there for you because she calls me mom. Okay, I say I'm you. I say that's fine with me. Whatever you want to go with, that's what we gonna go. But what nobody not gonna do is hurt you. That's
Yeah.
Mm.
what nobody not gonna do on my watch is hurt you. So the baby has played a tremendous part, and even though she's a part of the trauma,
Mm.
Yeah.
she's a part of the trauma because when I got her
My, my.
belongings back out of that box, that evidence box, her stuff had blood on it.
Mm.
Mm.
It
Wow.
was blood on her clothes and on her socks and on her blanket, right? And I'm saying, oh my God, this I and
Mm.
it and it just drove me. It drove me even more. When I went down there and asked the prosecutor, look, I want to see the crime scene of what happened to my daughter. I can't live another moment until you show me what's happening on them screen, the video that y'all took, the CD. I want you to play that CD. And she said, okay,
Mm.
come on down, Miss Gaston. I'm gonna play this CD for you. She said, are you gonna be okay? Because she didn't want me to have a fit in that office. Now, y'all know ain't nobody going down there telling us some play the CD for me of what happened to my
Yeah.
child. Ain't nobody going to the prosecutor's office and doing that. So she said, Miss Gaston, are
Mhm.
you sure you are going to be all right when I do this from start to finish? I said, and I was just telling myself, I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna get through this. I'm gonna process this. But this is a part of my grief because grief is to be respected as
Yeah.
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned. Grief is to be respected as far as I'm concerned. So this is
Yeah.
my process of respecting the grief. She walked me through that thing. I seen it from beginning to end. The baby wasn't nothing going on with the baby. The baby was fine. My daughter was fine. Everything was fine because it was clean in that house. But then when you get to the room, that's where the door opened up.
My
And
goodness.
I said to myself, I said, let me say something to you. Her dreads better be all over this house. I'm trying to tell you, he better be them pulled out her locks, thrown them on the in the table. I bet see some locks on the floor. I'm not playing. My daughter better have been fighting for her life. This was before I knew anything that
Mm.
was going on. Okay.
Mhm.
But when she showed me the crime scene, my daughter head was just as beautiful as it was when she left the house on that day.
Mhm.
Mm.
The murder was clean. There
Mm.
was no blood splatter and fight or none of that.
Do they know? I mean, do they know who did it? I mean, what?
Of course, her baby father did it.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay, okay.
He came
I
in
didn't
that
know.
room. He came in that room in his house, Marlboro Plaza, apartment 1023, and shot my daughter in the head, directly in the head. So there's
Wow,
not going to be any splatter anywhere. He walked up on her sitting Indian style, holding their daughter in the middle of his bed, and shot her with a clean shot in her
wow,
head.
wow.
So there was no fight. Oh, honey, I was pissed about that. I
Dang,
was pissed about that because I felt like my daughter didn't fight for her life. I
Mhm.
dang.
felt like she let him walk in there and put the gun to her head and just end her life. And I'm
Wow.
saying, why wouldn't you fight for your children?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you fight for your children? But I had to maintain my composure and respect the grief process right now, okay? Because
Mhm.
she would have turned it off had I would have started acting her. And we not doing that. We not doing it. I want to
Mhm.
see him again. So they taped him with his hands out. He ain't had no blood on him like that. No, it wasn't nothing on him. They had showed the gun. The gun looked fresh and clean and black. Like you was it a murder that took place? Because it really
Mhm.
doesn't look like that's what happened because it was so clean. It was
Wow.
a shot.
Wow.
It was a kill shot. It was a kill
But
shot. So
That's
Yeah.
but
Wow.
as you process all of that has taken
mhm,
place, how coming, let's say, bringing it to right now, how does it,
mhm.
you know,
Factor in now.
yes.
Um, let me see. Sort of in a way where um I'm more so prepping the baby
Okay.
to get the answers
Mm.
that I feel like she deserves.
Oh,
Okay.
I
Because
see.
again, he's going to come home, right? He's going to come home, and I have full custody of her, so I could say she could see him, and I could say I don't want him around her, right? But my intention is to get her to a space where she knows what happened to her mom,
mhm.
and she knows how loved her mother was. Now, no child ain't perfect. She wasn't perfect, but she was loved. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I want the baby to understand it. So seeing herself growing up at the graveyard, that's why I memorabilia everything from my daughter being killed all the way to the funeral to the graveyard. It's all in memorabilia for the baby to see
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
this is what happened to your mom. I have the evidence box for her. I will be pulling that down for her so she can start to gravitate more towards what happened to her mom. Because seriously, really, it's not my story. It's her story.
Right.
Mhm.
I know where my mom and dad at, but my
Mm.
baby girl, it's her story. So I have to start prepping her to receive, wholeheartedly what happened to her mom, and eventually one day step into her father because I'm getting the questions together about how she gonna ask them questions what you do to my mother. And
Mm.
I know my mother was just sitting on the bed holding me. So she wasn't doing anything to you for
Yeah.
you to do that to her, right? So I'm prepping the baby as we go. And his parents have, they started out being involved. I never stopped them from seeing her or being in her life or any of those things because guess what? I know what my mother and father are.
Yeah.
It's not my story. It's really not my story. It's her story. So I try to give most of my energy, and into that, and really helping her process that what
Well,
she's going to go through.
well, let me ask you a question on that point. For an example, Todd and Mia,
Uh-huh.
their son was the one that discovered his brother.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
Yeah.
how would what would you say to that in terms of I'm hearing you talk about this her story,
Yep.
how to get to little Todd to get to his story.
Yep.
If I'm making any sense.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
This,
you want to know how Lord Todd can process
Yes.
his part in it, because he
Yes.
has a story in it too, as a sibling.
oh
That's
yeah,
He has
he
a
definitely
story,
does. Yeah.
right?
absolutely.
As a sibling, and then if he was the one that found his brother, he has more in depth. And y'all were the parents of him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mom, you
Yeah.
boomed him into the world. You carried him for
Right.
9 months. But
Yeah.
your son, if I'm not mistaken, saw him hanging
Right.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
did what? He got his brother down.
He
No, no, he called us, and
he
He
called us
called you.
in.
yeah, we got him.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got him
He,
down, and
he,
then I started CPR because I knew how to do it from the military.
Okay.
I
Okay.
And
called 911.
yeah,
Hmm.
So,
That's very traumatic for him.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, he
Yeah.
couldn't even like even when he's here now, when he's visiting from school, we have to have the door closed to Matthew's bedroom. He can't even, you know, and
But there's going to come a time where Todd, am I saying it right? Todd, right? Because it's Matthew and Todd.
yeah,
Matthew,
yeah,
Todd
yeah.
Jr.
TJ, we call
Okay.
him
Todd
TJ, but
Jr.
yeah. Hmm.
TJ,
Okay.
and
You
Matt.
talking
He
about the son?
he yeah, the son, he gonna have to face that grief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gonna have to face the grief. The door gonna have to be open one day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
think he's starting because just even on our Facebook page, he's working with Screen Action Network, which is part of the uh, uh, Fair Play for Kids nonprofit, and
Mhm.
he's working on an internship project. And he created some videos talking about Matthew, and
Mhm.
then also discussing Google. And we up to this point, and even when we do our interviews, we've just respected that we will ask him, but he said no, I don't want to talk to the whatever. And so we
Right.
said, okay, in your own time. But now he's, like you said, he's doing his projects, his videos and things on his own or as
Yeah.
his own individual projects. And that's, I think that's kind of a way of at least starting some of the healing process there.
Yeah, that's gonna be good, but it's outside the home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, he's in New York, so he's not even here. So,
It's outside of where the trauma happening.
Yeah.
yeah,
You see what I mean? He's gonna have to come back there
yeah,
Yeah.
and relive what he doesn't want to relive.
Right.
So it's
mhm,
sort of a delayed grief, is what he's doing,
yeah,
right? Is he's delaying what he actually saw come down there and see your brother is, I mean, it's no words. It's no words. I do get where he's at, and I
Yeah.
do understand how he could feel about that. Um,
hmm,
but everything he's doing is outside the home.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
outside the home. So that's more of like of a delayed grief sort of thing. So
yeah.
he
That
still
makes
has
sense.
got to come back around the corner and come back home and sit in it
Which
Mm.
and
which
Yeah.
pout.
means that
Yeah.
as a parent, that when you talked about working with your granddaughter
Yeah.
uh, to get to prepare her, how can the family prepare their son?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is leading him to the water,
Mm.
leading him to the water, and surrounding him and sitting there with him in it. Sit there with him in it and let him feel as much as he could take. one step at a time, because everything he's doing outside the home is still not associated with what happened in the home. And then you went to New York, like you like,
Yeah.
I'm I worry about that. If I go back there, if I want to go back there, I'll do it when I want to, and I'll talk about him where I want to talk about him at. But really, it's at the house where
Right.
it all happened, it all transpired. So it makes sense to for him. I know he doesn't understand this, right, not right now, but it makes sense for him to be home and process that,
Yeah.
Right.
where it took place at, where it took place at, as
which
opposed
means
to
as a
delaying the grief.
which means as a total family is
Yeah.
that they are embracing one another exactly
Yes.
where it happened to
Where it
be
happened.
Right.
able to
Exactly.
release
Yeah. Yes,
that
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
that internal grief.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Right.
sir.
Yeah,
The
I got
one that he says he'll deal with it when he want to.
you.
So
Right.
that means, of course, he's in control of his grief. We all are. But when we talking about as a family, we as a family, we all feel that. Like, I
Right.
don't care if you the mother, you the brother, you sister, everybody felt that. And the only
Yeah.
reason why baby girl feeling is because she was 2 months old, but she feeling it now.
Mm.
And I'm making sure that she's understanding, walking her through that process, letting her see that she's growing up at the graveyard, taking her to the graveyard now where she can sit out there with her mom and do cartwheels and jump rope and all these kind of things out there. And she's in the home where it happened at, right?
Mm.
Because I don't want her grief to be delayed, because she young, she going to experience more grief. Now I got to show her how to process this, understand this, and be healthy for that next step. When she go out there and something else happens, she'll know how to process it, and it won't be a delayed grief. The delayed grief is unhealthy because you're still not dealing with, as a family collaborative effort in this case, you're not dealing with it together. So why doesn't he feel supported in a way where he can come back home and open up the door or sit in it? See what I mean?
Mm.
Is the question. Why does he not feel supported in that way? Because he's not a
Right.
part of y'all movement. He want to create his own stuff. Because
Mm.
what he felt and what y'all saw, y'all didn't see and feel what he felt to him,
Right.
in his mind,
Yeah. As
right?
a sibling. Yeah.
Yeah,
As a
as a
brother.
sibling, as a
Mhm.
sibling, right? So
That's
we
true.
gotta rally around him and let him feel what he want to feel, and we just got to feel what he want to feel, and
Mhm.
open up that space to know that I'm actually supported, and this is okay. Like, and then he can start to go to his brother's room or wherever it happened at and sit in it himself, knowing that he's supported. He feels supported, and how
Yeah. Yeah.
it
Because
happened to him, how his brain read the trauma at that time.
yeah,
Yeah.
and for us, I mean, we've just been working with him as at his own pace. If he's not
Right.
ready, like even when we,
And he has therapy. And
yeah, I mean,
this,
he does therapy and stuff, and I mean, I think we've all done that, too, But I think specifically for him, we're just kind of working and going at his pace. I mean, because he comes home to visit and that kind of thing, but like you said, we'll know when he can go in that room and
Mhm.
like we go in there and look at the memory all in the memory boxes, all the greet cards and greeting cards and stuff we got and everything, and we're in there. We're not in there a long time, but enough to do that. But he can't do that yet. So I think what you said is a good guide. So we just kind of say, hey, we're going to go in there, and he's like, nah, So I think all we can do is kind of keep encouraging them. Hey, we're here. We also let them know when we're going to church and different things in the community and stuff, and invite him if he's not ready. You just have to have patience because at some
yeah,
point he's going to be where he can move forward. But
right.
one question I did have, QueenAfi, if somebody is going through this, experiencing domestic violence and those kind of things, what steps would you recommend? I mean, like they're in the house, in a household with that going on right now.
Mhm.
What would you at least recommend.
Yeah, if you're in a household, going through something like domestic violence, of course, and there's a lot of grief that comes with that situation because
Hmm.
people don't want to face, what's going on, and you don't want to hurt, and I don't want to split up the family. And there's grief behind splitting up the family. It's grief behind losing a job. There's so many aspects to domestic violence and mental health that I think you should reach out to.
Mm.
If somebody's going through it, you need to reach out and say, this is happening to me, and you can do it in secret. Nobody never has to know that you're reaching out. And the thing that I let victims know, male and female victims know, is you need to stay in that relationship until you are sure that you're done. Right. So I
Mm.
couldn't tell my daughter, leave him, leave him, leave him, leave him. I never told my daughter that. I never told him that because that don't work. It gets victims killed. Right. Because soon as you start to leave, that abuser going to amp up their behavior. Okay. And
Yeah,
so then where's that person going anyway? Because the abuser know all your hiding spots. They know where your mother live at. They know where your church family at. They know where the shelters are. So where you going anyway? Right. So it's
that's so
best
true.
to stay there until that victim can really discern, male or female victim can really discern it. This is something that they want to do. This is something that I've decided, Queen. I don't care. I got my date set, and I am so done. Period. So at that time, then you're strategizing your way to get out of the relationship. Right. So
Mm.
you know that you gotta have a particular amount of money. You can't have a U-Haul pull up in your yard and take all the furniture out. You definitely cannot do that. You can't
No.
have your mother and them coming and showing up in the driveway talking about tell my daughter to come on home. And you certainly can't roll up on the abuser talking about some my child going with me. Cause let me tell you something, they are great manipulative people. So they
Hey,
know how to lure that victim back to the space. So you have to do it in secret, and you should do it with a plan.
yeah, we and that's so true. And we Donetta said domestic violence is a secret suffering.
That's right.
And
She's absolutely
yeah,
correct.
wow.
She's
So
absolutely
so
correct.
so so would they give? I saw on I think it was YouTube and even on Facebook different signs that uh, individuals can give if they're uh, going through domestic violence, maybe kidnapped, that kind of thing, or need kind of like a secret call for help. Are those things
So
actually?
what you do is, of course, call the 1-800-799-SAFE domestic violence hotline number. 1-800-799-SAFE. You can call that number to get the current resources in your state. The thing about domestic violence is that the current resources are, some of the programs work, some of the programs are not there anymore. Some of the programs, I don't know what's going on. They don't answer the phone, Queen, or they don't call me back. I don't know what's going on with this program. So you may get that when
Mm,
you decide to start calling out there to find out what resources are local in your state. And you also cannot use your own device that that your abuser be checking, or she paid the phone bill. Okay.
No.
Because they track you every step you take. You're being tracked. So you can't afford, you got to go to a library, or you got to try to go somewhere else and get a phone or get to a computer to research your exit plan and how you want to strategize to get out of that relationship where the abuser has no clue that you're planning to leave, right? And
wow.
then the other thing you cannot do is text these apps, 1-800 I need help with domestic violence. You
Mm.
cannot text no apps and download no apps on your phone because, or on your devices, computers and desktop, because the abuse is always tracking you and tracking the browser and tracking your phone and tracking your vehicle. So yeah, how do you plan your escape to get out that
Mm.
relationship? Because you got to strategize, because the abuser strategizes. Male and female abusers strategize how they going to kill their victim if they need to. Well,
Mm,
you got to do the same thing. strategize how you gonna exit that relationship because you said, I'm done. And I'm not talking about the back and forth done. Not the back and forth done, where America said take a woman 7 times before she decides she want to leave. Where think about a man, he ain't never going nowhere in a relationship because guess what? He don't have no support being a victim of domestic violence. So where he gonna go? And we don't even have shelters for men that want to flee domestic violence relationships with their children. We don't have no shelters for that. We don't have no support for men that are victims of domestic violence. So they can reach out to me. Brothers, y'all can reach out to me, QueenAfi, and I'm going to get you together. Okay. And my sisters, y'all can reach out to me too. But you
Hey,
got to do the reaching out in secret. You
hey,
got to do it in secret.
yeah, and we're coming up on time, but I wanted to give Mia a chance. Did you have any questions for QueenAfi before
Well,
we wrap up?
you captured the question I was going to ask, and it was QueenAfi. What is your advice to
Oh,
women that are in the situation and steps to rebuild? You know, rebuilding life,
yes.
and you covered that. And so, you
Thank you.
mentioned that the father. I think I read the bio. I don't
Yeah.
know what his name, Blake. I'm not
The
sure.
baby name is Blake.
Blake. Okay, okay. But
Yes, so the
and I'm
father.
sorry to hear about your daughter.
Thank you
Yes,
so
Um,
much.
and that's regards to the baby, and she's growing up,
Yes.
and you're
Yes.
preparing her. And thank
Mhm.
you for the advice on grief and how to
Yep.
handle it. And my son, he's in college now. He's 22, and so
Mhm.
he is handling grief, best way
Mhm.
he can. And he
Yeah.
shared
slowly but surely.
shared some information this weekend actually
Mhm.
on what happened to
Yeah.
Matt, and how
Yeah.
So,
so.
Yeah.
so before we do some final wrap up, QueenAfi, did you have any final words before we kind of give our last uh, things and wrap things up?
All of us have got to hold on to God's
Yes,
unchanging
I
hand.
can, man. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Amen.
It's just as simple as that. All of us have got to hold on to God's unchanging hand.
Yes.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
this stuff we in today ain't no joke. It's no
Yeah,
joke what's happening. And social media has not made it easy for us to parent and be families at that dinner table supporting one another. They have exposed our children to so many things on social media that is inappropriate for our young people,
yeah,
right? And
yeah.
so we got to hold on to God's
Yeah,
unchanging hand. And I
that,
asked the young man in one of my groups, I said, tell me what you think it is. What you think that's going on? Why we got this crazy stuff going on? Why people feel like gun violence is rampant, and why is the sexual abuse and things happening? He said the lack of spirituality.
Mm, that's true. Yeah.
He said the lack of spirituality. And this brother here is our son age. My son is 21. Your son 22. My daughter was 19 when she was murdered, and this guy's 22. He said the lack of spirituality
My,
is the
my.
reason why we in the muck. And I said, really? Because he shocked me because nobody says that in the groups, okay? But when he said that, I said, you know what? You're right. You're right. So we got to start holding on to
alone
God's
doesn't
unchanging
change your
hand.
hand.
We
Mm,
Yes,
got
thank
to
you.
start holding on to God's unchanging
yeah,
hand. We got to get our faith up. Our faith is low out here. We not warned like we
yeah,
supposed to be warned. We not on that battlefield like we supposed to be on that battlefield for our families and for the Lord, turning that thing around. We got to speak another
My,
kind of way, not verbal abuse. We got
Yeah.
to speak another kind of way about what God can do, how he can turn
yeah.
your life around in the midst of your sorrow. Thank
Thank
you
Right.
you
for
so
letting me
much.
share.
And
I don't mean to, blow up on the
oh no,
platform.
that's okay. And that,
But I got to blow up on the
yeah,
platform,
you had a message.
Yeah.
And so we'll transition to Reverend Thomas.
Woo!
Did you have any final words as we're wrapping
I,
up
I
here?
just want to say that QueenAfi, that's my baby, and I've been
Yes.
following her for a long, long time, and she she's a PK baby. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Her
Yeah.
dad is Pastor Gaston, Henry Gaston.
Mm,
Okay.
And
Oh,
matter
wow.
of fact, he was at the church last Sunday, and
amen.
she
Amen.
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 your dad was at our church last Sunday. But she has done such great work, and I just know that what has been shared here tonight is empowering to all of us. And a matter of fact, we're going to be bringing you to the church too,
Yes, I'm
and
coming to
because
the church.
yeah, we'll
All
bring you
right.
to the church, and where
Amen.
you can take it another step. Amen. So I
Yeah.
just want to say thank you so very, very
Thank
much.
you. I
Yeah.
God bless.
appreciate you. God
Yes,
bless you.
indeed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And and to Todd and Mia, you guys, you're on the right road. And
Yes,
Amen.
and here
yes,
we
sir.
we're networking with our church with you. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we all in this together, and
Yeah.
none of us have the pat answers, but guess what? We're getting answers. Amen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Time.
And you know, we had shared we were working with other community organizations, and you know, I think that's kind of the lifeblood of everything that we do. You got to be out. You got to be in the community and to be part of the community. You got to interact and engage with the community to, you know, actually know what's going on and see how you can be as effective, you know, either as individuals or with our organizations and foundations that we run. And so I'm, you know, we're honored and
Great.
blessed and touched that Reverend Thomas, Queen Afi, and also Mia and myself, you know, it's just good that we, you know, we're just blessed that we have the energy to do good work. And you know, and I'm just going to end the stream now. I guess we could maybe still talk after, but you know, I just don't want the stream to be too long. So thank you so much, and I'll end the stream real quick.
can you close in prayer
Yeah.
before?